I make mistakes and I don't always do as well as I would want to. There are days that I go home and realize that I may have left a mark on someone. And there are days that I have to either pick up the phone or send a text and apologize to someone for doing it wrong. So it's not, I don't want to lead you or your listeners to believe that I get it right all the time.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with CTech. Hello and welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Today we're going to be talking about leadership from a very, very interesting, simple, but meaningful standpoint. Meet Phillip Kane. Phillip is a husband, father, and businessman. He has led a successful career in some of the world's best-known corporations, working for brands like Goodyear, Pirelli, and NAPA. Kane has had the privilege to lead thousands of individuals and has managed billions of dollars in value for stakeholders, crediting his father, a Polish sales manager, and a Nigerian priest with almost every good thing he has learned about life, leadership, business, and the art of storytelling. Kane proved for 30 years that the need to choose between winning and caring for others is a myth. Kane lives in Ohio with his wife, 3 children, and 4 wonder dogs. The Not-So-Subtle Art of Caring is his first book. Phillip Kane, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're giving me some of your attention today, because we're going to be talking about a really, really important concept, which is, not just leadership, but, different ways of exerting a powerful leadership, and powerful in the sense of good leadership, where people want to follow and want to run forward through caring. And I'm excited to talk a little bit about your book on letters on leadership and caring. And so it's going to be a fun conversation. And Phillip, I want to get started by understanding sort of your why. And why did you decide to spend so much time thinking about caring and leadership and how these two things come together?
All right. So let me go back all the way to the beginning. And before you or any of your listeners roll your eyes and say, oh my gosh, this is only a 20-minute conversation, I'll promise to do it fast. So I grew up in the truck business. My grandfather was a truck dealer. My dad was a truck dealer. And my dad was a servant leader before there was even a word for it. So I grew up learning to lead this way. And so when I finished school and came back to work for my dad, and my dad said, hey, I've got a rule, same rule as my dad had. You can come to work here, but you got to go work someplace else first. And I went out into the world. I took with me a style of leadership that taught me that you deliver results by being kind to people and by being careful toward people. And so when I ran into a style of leadership that was more micromanaging, more archetypal around drilling people, for me, that was foreign. I had never seen that before, because what I had seen was a style of leadership that held people accountable, but treated them like human beings. And so for me, the next 30 years of my career felt like swimming against the stream, not with it. And so writing my book was kind of the natural conclusion to a career spent encountering a style of leadership that I didn't particularly care for, and wanting to share with the world news that, hey, there's a better way to treat people than what you've encountered probably throughout your career.
I think that everybody in the world can potentially agree on this notion that we want to be kind leaders. We want to be kind individuals. We don't want to hurt others. We don't want to put down others. Yet we do as a society. Why is that? Why is it that you found throughout your life that the form of leadership you're discovering is not the form that you grew up with as an inspiration?
I think that we're we're just brought up to believe that the most expedient route is to hammer people, right? We're taught that punishment is the quickest route to achieving goals, right? And so it carries forward into the workplace that if someone doesn't deliver, you punish them. If someone doesn't do what they're told, you punish them. And so that's the style of leadership that's most prevalent in the Western world. And so we're also taught that if you treat people with kindness, if you don't punish them when they don't deliver, you're viewed as a soft leader.
Right.
And then you're shuffled out of the deck because at each promotional opportunity, the leaders look for the hard leader, the most outgoing, the most gregarious, the most likely to treat people poorly. And so leaders like me tend to get shuffled out of the deck because the skills that they bring to the party are soft, or so they think. And so I think, to answer your question, that's why it happens, because we're taught that the most expedient way to deliver results is through punishment, not through encouragement.
And you disagree with that?
No, of course I do. And I have 30 years to prove that
I'm ready to be convinced. I'm ready.
Well, think about it. I mean, think about your own self. And I could go through a litany of things, but to just ask you, if you had your choice between being hit in the back of the head or being encouraged, which would you prefer out of the two? And of course, you would say I would prefer to be encouraged, right? And it's true for all of us. And so, for me, and what I learned from my father was that it's not the extreme opposite of punishment, because there is a style of leadership called servant leadership that just pretends, hey, just treat everybody with extreme kindness and the results will follow. The trouble is they don't, because there has to be a result in mind. There has to be a score kept. There has to be something that we're playing for. And so what I ascribe for is to hold people accountable, but to do so in a way that doesn't destroy their dignity, that doesn't disrespect them, that doesn't treat them with anything other than abject kindness. And so that's what I hold up for, because if you think about the extreme styles of leadership, where you have beating the heck out of people on one end and you have being extremely kind to them on the other end, the results won't follow, right? Because if I'm beating you to death on one end, the minute I turn my back, you'll stop doing what I expect. The same as on the other end, if I'm being nothing but kind to you all the time, you'll learn after a while that you don't have to deliver, because there's no consequence to not delivering. So there has to be a consequence to non-delivery, but that can come in a way that doesn't tear you apart as a human being.
So where have we seen, this more positive leadership happen in our daily lives? What have been some successful examples of this type of caring leadership exert?
Well, I think it's difficult to find because it's not the norm, but you can see it in places like Richard Branson at Virgin Atlantic. Musk, for the most part, delivers this type of leadership. Although most recently the media has liked to have pounced on a few areas where they think that he doesn't lead like this. But for the most part, Elon Musk leads like this. The late Tony Hsieh at Zappos led this way. So those are a few examples of people that lead with a more encouraging and caring style of leadership.
So paint me a picture of how this tangibly plays out. So as a leader, you're in a confrontational situation. Something doesn't happen the way that you expect it to. Somebody underdelivers, for example. What is the tangible way of approaching? Obviously, one way is to fire, punish, demote, whatever it may be in whatever setting. How does a more caring leader turn this around into an opportunity of growth in the way that you're, aspiring for it to be?
So just think about a situation where you went 8/10 of the way there on something. The more traditional management route would be to point out the last 2/10 of the way that you didn't go and to punish you for not
Right.
achieving that.
Right.
The leadership style that I ascribe would be to point out to you that hey, you did a really good job on the 8/10 of the way that you went, but it could have been even better if you went the last two. And here's what I need you to do next time for this to be a complete job. And I want to make sure that you understand how to go all 10 steps of the way. So help me understand if you understand how to go the whole way. And if there's anything that you need from me to go the whole way, because next time I'm going to expect you to go the whole way. And if you can't, we're going to have a different conversation next time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, great job on the first 8 steps. Not so good on the last 2. Next time, I need you to go all 10.
Right.
And the conversation doesn't need to be any different than that. You still know you let me down. You still feel bad about not going the whole way. You know that next time you have to go the whole way. You've told me if there's anything standing in your way of doing that. You've told me if there's anything I need to take out of your way of doing that. And it's been a conversation that didn't destroy your dignity. And, and we've accomplished the same thing as me hitting you in the back of the head.
Right. I mean, it almost sounds like, maybe partially an underlying problem that started here was sort of this default expectation that as a leader, I'm starting out with this expectation that this person will sort of provide 10 out of 10. And if they don't, then that's sort of out of the norm. But maybe if I adjust the expectation to say, okay, this is what this person is performing now. And what you're basically saying is that the measurement tool is now these incremental progresses that are climbing, obviously, but that initial default expectation shouldn't necessarily be that perfect mindset, right?
Well, everyone should still understand that, hey, 10's the goal. But
Sure.
if they can go all the way to 10, it doesn't have to be a career limiting or career ending experience or conversation. It doesn't have to be a spirit robbing conversation,
Sure.
because not one's going to go all the way every time. And so what needs to happen is a conversation that says, hey, what you did was pretty good, but it could have been even better if you went the whole way. And so
Sure.
help me understand if you need anything from me to go the whole way next time.
Right.
Because
now, let's take it one step further. Now I want them to authentically be open about why they didn't go the whole way. Maybe it's something that they disagree with. Maybe it's not, they didn't want to, they didn't care for that. Or maybe that there's something that is inhibiting them from doing so. But how do I get them to now communicate that with me? Because if they don't actively communicate that, then they're not going to be able to succeed the next time around either.
Right. Which is exactly the conversation that I'm having with you, right? Or I'm trying to role model with you right now by saying, is there anything that you need from me to be able to go the whole way next time? Do you completely understand what you need to do to go the whole way next time? So that's what I'm doing as a leader, is making sure that I've done the things that I need to do to enable you to do the whole job.
Mm-hmm.
Do you completely understand what's required of you to be able to do the whole job?
Right.
Do you have everything you need to do the whole job? Is anything in your way that I need to remove in order for you to be able to go the whole way? So, because that's what's missing oftentimes in life. We as leaders just assume that, hey, just because I told you you need to go all 10 steps, that we're indemnified from any further culpability in the relationship. Because I told you what you need to do. So I'm out. I'm done. Now it's on you. No, it's not. I need to do basically 5 key things. I need to tell you what I expect from you. I need to make sure you understand how to do that. I need to make sure that you understand why that's important. And more than anything, I need to understand that that when you accomplish that your life is going to get better as a result.
Right.
If I haven't done all of those things as a leader, I'm not done. Because just telling you what to do isn't enough. You need to know how to do those things. You need to know why it's important. You need to know why it matters, not just to me, but to you. And the to you part means that you know that your life is going to get better as a result of you getting it done. Because otherwise you don't care.
Right. So going back to sort of default leadership styles, or maybe we take the conversation a little bit more optimistic. So, aspiring leaders, new young leaders, how do we implement this in our day to day? Is it simply constantly reminding ourselves that, let's think of this way, this more caring way. Let's turn around this conversation, because it sort of feels like we've been hardwired through our own experiences from childhood to sort of punish, something that's gone wrong instead of seeing it as a growth opportunity.
I think, and because I get asked this a lot, how do you operationalize this? Because I think people come from a frame of references that says, holy cow, it sounds like a great idea, but how in the world would you operationalize this? Well, it's actually the easiest thing in the world to operationalize, because you just approach it from the standpoint of treating people the way that they want to be treated. And it's no more difficult than that. So wake up in the morning and treat people the way that they want to be treated. And recognize the fact that there is almost no one except for psychopaths, and psychopaths are a very small percentage of the population, but no one wakes up in the morning thinking, you know what? Today's the day that I'm going to go in and make my boss's life a pure living hell. Today's the day that I'm going to go in and do the exact opposite of what's expected of me. Today's the day that I'm going to go in and be mediocre. People don't do that. People wake up and truly believe that they're good at what they do and they add value. And so if they're not delivering, whose fault is it? It's not theirs.
Sure.
Right? Because they believe they're good at what they do and they add value. So it's the fault of the leader, because they haven't made it clear what they expect people to do, why it's important that they do what they do, and that when they do what they do, their lives going to improve. And so operationalizing what we're talking about here is no more complicated than making certain that we as leaders are treating people the way that they want to be treated.
Sure. And this is not just for top leadership. This is for a leader in any capacity. And it's not just top down leadership. It could be horizontal leadership. It could be also bottom up leadership. That way of communicating perhaps frustration in any domain towards just very honestly communicating what was good, where did the action not meet the expectation, and what we would like to see next time. It doesn't have to necessarily be sort of manager to employee type conversation, right?
No, exactly. You said it even better than I could. This applies to all aspects of your life and all 360 degrees of your life. And for you and for your listeners, think of it this way. If you want to prove to yourself that it's real, think in your life about those people, whether it was a teacher, whether it was a coach, whether it was someone in your community, the people that have had the most impact on your life, or that were the most special in your life. And I promise you that those people are going to be the people that were the most encouraging of you in your life, not the people that beat the hell out of you the most in your life.
Sure. That makes perfect sense. Why do you care so much about this? Why is this something that is so deeply motivating for you and important for you?
Because I've seen the opposite of this, and I've seen what it does to people. And because it matters to me that I leave the world a better place than I found it. And so for me, that's what this is all about. It's a mission of sorts. I realize that it's not about me. And so I wake up every day wanting to leave people in this place better than I found it. So that's what it's about.
Was this an ongoing journey that you've sort of have been able to get to this realization? Is this an overnight type of realization?
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't any of those things. I don't suppose. It was just that, and it wasn't that I had anything to prove either. It was that this was the way that I was brought up to lead and teach other people. And for me, it's my life has been about trying to make it about other people. And I'll tell you that I make mistakes, and I don't always do as well as I would want to. There are days that I go home and realize that I may have left a mark on someone. And there are days that I have to either pick up the phone or send a text and apologize to someone for doing it wrong. So it's not, I don't want to lead you or your listeners to believe that I get it right all the time. But for me, it's been something that in my life I've tried to do because I was raised by a man who taught me to do it better. And so that's what it's been for me. It's just a lifelong journey of trying to do it better.
This was very impactful for me. I appreciate it. I'm going to take this for myself very wholeheartedly. And I'm reflecting throughout this conversation. I'm reflecting back to my own relationships, my own communication styles, and how I can come with this mindset. And I really appreciate your work, Philip. I can feel the how genuine it is and how authentic it is, and it's very heartwarming, and I very much appreciate it. So thank you very, very much. And I hope at least one other person enjoyed this as much as I did. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.